on the live. Good morning. I'm Junior from Here For You Life Coaching. Good morning, Jay. Jay is our moderator on this side over here. And so, what are we really talking about when we talk about manifestation? We've been discussing this. This is our third day going over these principles because you need to know it's subconscious and you need to know that everyone has a subconscious. Now, the subconscious is a culmination of all of your senses, okay? So, everything you see, everything you touch, everything you smell, everything you think, okay? Why is it important to have like, you know, a good manifestation process? Why is it important to feel good? Okay, it's so that you can bring good to you. Okay, now part of this is sociological conditioning. Okay, or what we call societal hypnosis. Societal hypnosis. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Mili Mila. Good morning, Mili Mila. I like your Santa Claus stuff. Yeah, nice. Hey, Kobe. So why is it important? Well, it's important because if you're unaware of these things, you can pray for what you want, you can wish for what you want, you can do affirmations for what you want. You're not going to get what you want because there's going to be conflict, okay? Because there's what we call counter manifesting. Okay, counter manifesting just means that whatever your goal is, there's something within you in your subconscious that goes against it. That's all it means, okay? So the bottom line is, right? Thoughts shape the brain shapes behavior, and behavior shapes results. Okay, that's really the bottom line. Now we've been going through. I made notes today, so we're going to be talking more about that. But good morning, Janice. I saw Janice. Where's Janice? There's Sarah. Hey, Janice. Good morning. Good morning, Sarah. So, what's really important, right? Because a lot of people don't understand manifestation. They think it's magic. They think, well, I just like wish for this, or I throw salt over my shoulder or something, something like that. And if you want to do those things, you can, but you need to know that it's subconscious learning, and you need to know that it's subconscious execution. Morning, Janice. So how do we maximize this process? Well, first of all, you have to feel good. Okay. So whether you want to call your higher power God, or you want to call it source, or you want to call it, the universe. Okay. These are synonyms. Okay. People use these as synonyms. And the reason why they use these as synonyms is because if you say God to some people that maybe don't believe in God, right? Because I have a client that doesn't believe in God. Okay, no problem. Okay, but he does believe in higher self. So I tell him, okay, well, let's call it higher self. Okay, some people don't believe in God, and whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, either way, you're a believer in your subconscious. Okay, so if you want to call it higher self, you want to call it God, you want to call it infinite intelligence, you want to call it universe. Okay, a lot of people have been saying universe lately because they don't want to offend the people that believe in God. Okay, I happen to believe in God, and I'm not here to push God, I'm not here to push Christianity. Okay, but I'm a spiritual Christian. What does that mean? Well, that means I've studied esoteric knowledge, and I don't just fall for the story. Okay, the story of what's in the Bible. Okay, there's things that are deeper than the stories. And when you actually look into the esoteric knowledge, you go, wow, everything is in the Bible. Okay, so my recommendation for you, if you don't believe in Christianity or you don't believe in the Bible, at least go into the Bible for the wisdom. Okay, because you will find it there. Okay, and you will find numerology there, you will find astrology there, you will find everything there. Okay, it's all there if you know how to read it. Okay, Pam, good morning. Good morning, Kathy. You did until I used it. A wow moment. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Janice went through my program right there. So thank you, Janice. Thank you for your endorsement. I appreciate that. So anyway, and if you want to look at, if you want to look us up, go to Here For You Life Coaching, Honolulu, Hawaii. I'm in Hawaii. And you can go to Here For You Life Coaching on Google and read the reviews. We only have 5-star reviews. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay. Your conscious, subconscious, and superconscious are three states of awareness in your kingdom. Okay, Jesus Christ said the kingdom is within. Okay, and I'll make references like this for my fellow Christians because I have a lot on Facebook and other platforms. Good morning, Munso. So spiritual, okay, my definition of spiritual is anybody who's religious, okay, and people who are spiritual who refer to things as, the great energy or infinite intelligence or the universe or source, okay, because you're still spiritual. Now, you're not your body, you're not your name, you're that energy that lives in here, okay? You're that spirit that lives in here. Okay, so if you're spiritual, right, that means that you're not so much. Joyful morning to you too. It's not so much that you're just believing in man-made things. Okay, so in the Christian Bible, you cannot worship God in mammon, and I go over that all the time, right? And I go over that for my Christians, okay, because they think it's money. They think mammon just means money or material things. It's the belief or the faith in material things over the spiritual in here. Okay? And I know a lot of people that go to church, temple, synagogue, okay, a lot of those people that have no faith in themselves. Okay? But God is in you as a partner, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about your subconscious and manifestation. Okay, how you can bring things into your world. Okay, now you can call it positive thinking. Okay, but even if you think positive and you have a negative subconscious program, you won't be able to manifest whatever it is you want. You have to reprogram the subconscious. Okay, that's very, very important. How do you do that? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. If you do all those four things aimed at one thing, it has to happen. It cannot not happen. It has to happen. Okay? Good morning, guys. Papo, good morning. Good morning, Jess. Good morning, Low Life. Low Life. Okay. Okay. So, first you get the idea in your conscious mind. Now, your conscious mind only works for 5% of your life. You only use it for 5% of the time. Okay? 95% is your subconscious. So the conscious mind picks the target. Okay, what is that? New house. Let's call it new house today. Okay, I always say new car, but let's say new house. Okay, so new house, right? Now, when you get it into your subconscious, okay, I am so happy. Thank you, thank you. How can I know what is my purpose in this dimension? Okay, I will get to that. I will get to that. Jay, repin that if I go too long, okay, because I'm in the middle of explaining this. So your subconscious picks the target. Subconscious is 5% of your life. Okay, 95% is your subconscious. Okay, but let's say you write an affirmation. I am so happy and grateful now that I am living in my new house. Thank you. Okay, I did that. And I got the dream home. And then I sold the dream home. It was a mansion. It was a 5-story house built up like this on the hillside in this place called Nu'uanu in Hawaii. It's a really nice neighborhood. It's a peaceful neighborhood. And I used to look out like over all of these houses because I lived up on the hill. Okay. And it works, okay? But you need to convince your subconscious first. Okay. Now, if there's something in your subconscious that says, I'm not worthy, or I don't think I can do it, or yeah, right, this won't work, or whatever, okay? That counter manifests you, or let's say it another way, it prevents you from attaining your goals. Okay, every once in a while, I still put the house up on my Facebook stories to show people, like, hey, if I can, anybody can. Okay, anybody can. Trust me, I was sleeping on a sidewalk in 1980. I was sleeping on the side of a movie theater sidewalk with just a blanket and, whatever I had with me. So, yeah, this works for every single person. Okay? Because we're all the same in here. We're all spiritual beings in here. Okay? But not everybody goes along with that idea, and some people just think they're just this meat suit walking around on the planet. Okay, that's not so. That's not true. Okay? So whether, like I said, whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, either way, you're a believer and you can program those beliefs. Okay? So now you select the target. Okay, now you write the affirmation. Now you have to write it for 66 days. Okay? This is not a spell. This is memorization. This is going into your subconscious. What does your subconscious do when it believes something? It starts creating avenues towards your goal. Okay? And quantum physics tells us there's unlimited ways to get to your goal. There's not one way, there's not two ways. JC, you don't understand anything, but I know it's interesting. I'm making an effort. What language do you speak? And where are you from? I know you wrote to me yesterday. What language do you speak? So, sorry, we have a chat over here, so I'm responding to the chat. But anyway, now your subconscious is going to look for avenues, okay? So maybe I should get a home loan. Maybe I should get another job so I can pay the mortgage. Maybe, maybe. And you're going to get these ideas. Okay, now once you believe it in your subconscious, there's the superconscious. What does the superconscious do? Well, the superconscious represents God. Okay, your higher power, Jesus Christ, Allah, God, universe, source, what higher self, infinite intelligence, all of those things. Okay, and God works off of what is in your subconscious. God works off the belief in your subconscious. Okay, so like I said earlier, if you've got things that go against what you're trying to manifest in your subconscious, God cannot give you what you want. God does not judge. Okay, I don't know what you've been told in your religion or in your temples or in your churches or your, synagogues. Oh, you speak French in Cameroon. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, you're using a translator. Okay. Just follow along. Yeah, follow along. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. So, God does not judge. Okay, your subconscious does not judge, and it cannot distinguish fantasy from reality. And this is an advantage for you. This is a plus for you. Because when you put it into your subconscious cannot judge you. It cannot say, no, we're not going to do that. That's a fantasy. I can't tell you how many fantasies I wrote out on paper until they came into reality. I mean, tons of them. Tons of them. If you put my name in any browser, any AI, you could see all this stuff that I've been through. And it looks crazy, right? Because people look at it and go, wow, he did this, he did that, he did this. And then they can't figure out who I am. I'm the guy that lives his dreams. That's all I do. If it's not a dream, I don't do it. Okay? And now I'm on my last one. I ran out of goals. In 2019, I stopped entertaining. Okay? And after that, I ran out of goals. I didn't know what to do. But I was already teaching, so I just continued with that. And now we have Here For You Life Coaching since 2010. And so I decided, well, okay, this will be the last one. So I'm on my last dream. Anyway, so now the superconscious works off what's in your subconscious. Okay. God does not judge. God is love. Okay? God empowers. But first you have to believe. Okay? And you have to have faith. What's the difference between belief and faith? Well, anybody can believe. Okay? You can get yourself to believe something, but you have to have faith. Faith is knowing. Okay? Faith is knowing that whatever it is that your goal is, it's going to happen. Okay? In the Gospels, in Mark 11:24 in the Bible, it says, ask, believe, receive. Okay? You ask in prayer, you ask in intention, you ask in meditation. So this is important, okay? Now, when it comes to believing, sure, you can believe, okay? But do you know? Okay, you have to know like you know like you know. And this is why we say act as if, okay? Because you have to act like it's already done, okay? Because you have the promise from God that says ask, believe, receive. It's in Mark, it's in the Gospels. So this is the process. But when you ask and if you doubt, or when you ask and if you experience fear, any of the negative emotions, okay? Disappointment, fear, doubt, worry. Okay, are you worried that you might not get what you're asking for? Then it will cancel it out. Okay, so it's just these are the things that you have to be mindful of. Okay, mindful means you have to remind yourself. Okay, you just have to remind yourself. Thank you, thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Moonsoul. Okay, hang on. I'll get back to your thing. I'll get back to your question. So now you have God working off of your subconscious because, right? You know when it says in the Bible, it says God knows your heart? Okay? In the Bible, that's what it's talking about. It's talking about God knows your subconscious because God can only know your subconscious. Okay? I don't know what your pastor's been telling you, okay? But if you're going according to the stories in the Bible and not the esoteric meanings of the Bible, then you're believing the stories. Then, okay, you get what you get, okay? And this is why a lot of people, they go through the rituals, right? They go to church every Sunday. They give money every Sunday. They do the praises every Sunday, but they don't believe in themselves. As a result, they're broke, or they're unhealthy, or, okay, or all the negative things. Okay, they're not healthy. Okay, they don't observe themselves and recognize themselves as being worthy. Okay, they even print it on T-shirts, right? He is greater than I. I know what it means, but do you know what that does to the subconscious? Okay, but it keeps them coming back because in their subconscious, right, their self-esteem starts to go like this, and they're looking for a way out. And they think by going through the rituals, that's their way out. But God is love. Okay? Your creator, whoever you believe that to be, whatever name you want to assign to that, is love. Okay? And that's why every day I tell you, have you ever seen an angry baby? Never, ever. Okay? So when you rid yourself of these negative emotions, okay, doubt, fear, guilt, shame, anxiety, distraction is another thing, okay? It creates these negative emotions. That's the number one creator of negative emotions. This right here. This creates anxiety, screen time. Whether it's this, whether it's your laptop, whether it's your tablet, okay? And this is why so many children are just anxious. Why? Because they've been raised on these things. Okay? I've pulled over 7,000 people, adults and kids, out of anxiety. 37 years I've been doing this. Okay? In 2007, I went down the rabbit holes, like a lot of rabbit holes. And I found out the science because I wanted to know why these little kids were so confident in my office. And I had a little studio in my office. And we ran 4 companies out of my office. And I was like, what's doing this to these children? They're standing there, sticking their chest out. Their body language improved. Everything improved. Why? Because the anxiety was gone. So many of them got off their medicine. They were medicating these kids. Kids. Okay? We're talking 11, 12, 13 years old. Medicating these kids. And a lot of the 13-year-olds, okay, that were taking medicine started getting off their meds. Okay, now I make no medical claims. I gotta say that so I don't get sued by the AMA or whatever, okay? But they started getting off their meds. In fact, one lady had a 13-year-old, and she got into ecstasy and, well, you know, experimenting, right? Kids do that. And she was running with the wrong crowd. And I was in a restaurant one day, and this lady came up to me and she goes, "Oh, can I send my daughter to you?" And I said, "Sure." And she sent her, and in 9 months I got a text. "Wow, she's gotten off her depression meds. Thank you, thank you, thank you." That was worth more to me than the money that she paid me. Because I don't work for money. I work for development. I work for improvement. And as a result, I give a lot of time to people. You can ask anybody that knows me. Anybody that knows me. It's part of our business model. Okay? Because generosity and kindness need to be part of your daily routine if you want to continuously bring good things into your world. Okay? Gratitude, kindness, generosity, love. Okay? These things have to be done. You don't have to like everybody. I don't like everybody. You know, I go on my social media, I make comments about stuff I don't like. You know, and some people go, "Well, yeah, some Christian you are." Says that. No, I have an opinion. I have an opinion. You know, and in the different, uh, let's say, fields that I worked in over the years, okay, people looked at me like a loose cannon because I was not afraid to tell the emperor he was walking around in his underwear. Because I don't care. Why don't I care? Because I don't believe in this physical world. I don't put my faith in the physical world. I put my faith in here in God. Okay? I always have. Okay? And when you do that, the physical world policies, the physical world laws, the physical world whatever systems, Jesus Christ talked about the systems of things, right? He said, "I will be with you until," well, people in the King James, it's kind of like, it's not written the way it's supposed to be written. In the King James Bible, it says, "I will be with you until the end of the world." The world's not going anywhere. We might go, but the world's not going anywhere, okay? The original translation, the esoteric knowledge, okay? Look it up, esoteric knowledge, study. It's important. Knowledge is important. Okay, the application of knowledge is the power, but knowledge is important, so you know. With knowledge comes responsibility. Okay, you will be held responsible to your knowledge. But if you're just reading the story, you will be held responsible to the story because that's all you'll know. Okay, but it says, "I will be with you." Jesus says, "I will be with you until the end of these systems of things." Why did he say that? He's saying, "I will always be with you," because the systems of things don't end. Okay, they change. They evolve. Okay. And right now we have the technological age. Okay, we've been through the industrial age. We've been through all these ages. Okay. But within the system, within these things, thank you, Munso, within these systems of things, as long as you've been alive, okay? As long as you've been alive, you have seen the systems get refined and get better over time and better over time. Humanity has always gotten better over time. Okay, I remember when I was 18 years old, people used to smoke in elevators. Okay, in this place called Waikiki, where I'm at in Hawaii. And you would go in and stand in the elevator, and there would be like 3 or 4 people smoking in one elevator. If somebody does that now, if one person does that right now, everybody looks at them and go, "Wow, that's crazy. It's insane," right? If somebody lights up a cigarette in a public building, in a concert hall, or in a right, in a restaurant, right? we go, whoa, that's crazy. Because it is crazy now. It was not crazy then. Okay? But we have evolved as a society, we have evolved as humanity. So the world is getting better. Okay? Sometimes you look at the world and you think it's getting worse. Why? Because you're used to the old world. Okay? The world is changing. You can look at the world in two ways: the glass half empty, the glass half full. Everything has an empty and full side to it. And this is why perception is important, because your perception can change. Okay, you're a human being. You can observe something and be patient when you see the glass half empty, and slowly it will change. When you ask the question, what's the good part of this? What's the benefit to this? What can I gain from this? And slowly it will be revealed to you. And then you shall see the truth, and the truth shall set you free. But if you rush to judgment, this is why they say, judge not, and ye shall not be judged. Why? Because if you judge something, oh, that's wrong, that's bad, what happens to you? You are judged unto it. How does that happen? Well, you pronounce judgment on something, and then it gets pronounced to your subconscious. Your subconscious does not know if you're talking to yourself or if you're talking to someone else. Your subconscious cannot differentiate between fantasy and reality. If you get a bill for $300 and you write, thank you for the money on the bill, your subconscious does not know if you actually got a bill or if somebody actually gave you money. And when you get into an abundant mindset, guess what happens? You get more checks than bills. You get more coming in than you get going out. We don't use checks very much. I haven't used a check in over 10 years. I haven't written a check in so long. Okay, I haven't used checks for forever. All of our companies are automated. Okay, they all have websites. We all do electronic everything. And that's where the world is headed. Okay, but we saw this way back in 2000. And slowly, we put all of our companies online, slowly. And now everything is online. Thank you. This is good. Oh, you like this. You like today's live. Misha Parker, good morning. Nice to see you, Misha. Well, welcome. We do this every morning, so you can join us every morning. Cynthia, good morning, Cynthia. The majority of my clients are female. Okay? Why? Because men don't ask for directions. I'm one of those men. I don't ask for directions. Okay? Men think that we can figure everything out. Okay? That's what we call the male ego. Okay? So over here, you have male ego. What do you have over here with women? You have women's intuition. Okay? Male ego, right? Do women have ego? Of course they do. Okay? But you never hear anybody go, female ego. Oh, that's female ego. You never hear that. Why? Because the intuition in the female is more popular, it's greater, they have better processing power than we do, they have bigger frontal lobes than we do, okay? I'm talking about the brain, okay? Women are superior in many ways to us, many ways, okay? But we're known for ego. Why? Because we tend to pull the logic side of things. And what is that? That's the left hemisphere of the brain. Left hemisphere thinking. Do men go both ways? Yeah, we do. Okay? We do. However, we tend to be more logic, more black and white. Okay? And the ego also lives in the left hemisphere of the brain. This is not a political thing. Okay, one of my clients was watching to one of my lives, and she goes, I got burnt out watching your lives. And she didn't understand what I was talking about. And she thought that I meant right and left, as in the right and left political parties, and thought, no. This is physiology. Okay, this is biology. This is neuroscience. This is your brain. This is neurology. Okay? So the right hemisphere is creativity, okay? Connection, intuition. Okay, that's where God talks to you. Intuition, that's how God talks to you. You're never going to hear a voice, like in your closet or something talk to you, or in your room. If that happens, you need to see a doctor. Yeah, I'm just kidding. That doesn't happen, okay? But it's a feeling that you get when God talks to you. It's a feeling. And if you tune into that voice more, you'll get better guidance. It's intuitive guidance. Okay? So when you're driving down the street and you get that, feeling you should turn right, but you ignore it. Why? Because you have a left brain ego. Male or female, you have one, okay? And you dismiss it. And you get stuck in the traffic jam and you go, I knew I should have turned back there, right? Because you did know. You did know. You knew. You didn't believe. You knew. You got the signal. You got the instructions. You dismissed it. Now, how many times does that happen to you for other stuff, right? A lot. A lot. Okay? This happens a lot to people. Why? Because they don't trust their intuition. Why don't they trust their intuition? Because the physical world has rules. Because you've been through a physical world education. Because you've gone through a Masonic program from first grade to 12th. It's your 12-step program. 12. 12 apostles. 12 months in the year. Okay, 12, 12, 12. It goes on and on. That's esoteric knowledge. So your subconscious is your book of life. Everything is written in your subconscious. Are you going to be judged by it? No, not necessarily. Not the way you think. Not by God in that way. God empowers you. He empowers what's in your subconscious. It's up to you to change your subconscious. It's up to you to change your patterns. Okay, this is why they talk about sin. What is sin? Well, sin is actually the god of the moon. It's a moon god. Okay, in Mesopotamia, if you really want to know. Okay, but what is sin according to the Bible? Well, it's bad stuff. Okay, so if you keep doing bad stuff, what happens? You keep going down in vibration. Why? Because like attracts like. If you're doing bad things, you're going to get bad vibes. If you do good things, you're going to feel better. Okay? So here's the 50 percentile right here. Okay? So this over here, let's call this good. And let's call this bad. Okay? Let's call this negativity. Let's call this positivity. Okay? In order to have a better life, all you need to do is push this over the line 1%. Now, this is 51% positive, and this is 49% negative. Okay? As you keep increasing, and it's not difficult once you get to the 1% over. Okay? Why is that? Because once you get to the 1% over, okay, so this is not difficult to do. People think this is difficult. But once you get to the 1% over, now the majority of your life is good. That keeps increasing. It keeps growing. Everything in life starts small and grows. Now, if it's your problems, let's go this way. Okay? Let's say your problems are 51%. Are your problems going to grow? Yes. Why? Because now the focus is on negativity and you're already at 51%. That 51% will attract the next percent. Now you're at 52, 53. It grows. You see? You see what I'm saying? It grows. Okay? How do you counteract this? Well, most people counteract it because we go back and forth. Windshield wiper syndrome. That's what I call it. Okay? You can plug my name into any AI, any browser, and put teaching method after it. It'll give you all the information. You don't have to come and see me. And you can work with me if you want to. In fact, I have many of my clients are on the my clients and former clients are here on the chat. Okay. But how does this process work? Well, let me say this. Okay, you can go down the negative scale only so far. There's only 3 steps to the very bottom. Okay, to the end of negativity. What's the first one? Well, you can lose everything you have and go in the street. Okay, street, that's number 1. Okay, what's worse than the street? Well, there's prison. Okay, that's 2. There you go, prison now. Okay, there's only one more negative place to go than prison. It's called graveyard. Boom, there you go. That's it, you're done. You're out of the game. Okay? So you can go hard if you want to, right? Oh, I'm going hard. I'm going hard. Yeah, go on the street. No, I'm not done. I'm going harder. And going to prison. I'm gonna go hard. Some people just go back and back and forth, right? They go back in, back in, back in, back in through the revolving door. Those are the lucky ones. Some of them don't make it. And then they end up in the graveyard and the game is over. A lot of them find themselves in prison. Okay? They discover that good energy in them, the love in them. If you want to call it love, you want to call it good energy, you want to call it Christ consciousness, you want to call it Buddhahood, whatever you want to call it. There's so many names that describe the same thing. Then what happens? Then they go this way. Okay? Then they grow this way. And as long as they get 51%, it begins to flourish automatically. Okay? Yeah, Manuel. Grave. There you go. Graveyard. Yep. Hey, Charlie. Good morning, Charlie. Charlie in Riverside, California. Yay. So, okay? So we're discussing manifestation today and how it is subconscious. Why? Because when you're doing this wash, rinse, repeat in negativity, it's in your subconscious. Okay? A lot of these people who are caught up in this cycle of negativity, let's say some of them are doing robberies, okay? They do it once, they do it twice, pretty soon they keep doing it, right? Pretty soon it becomes a lifestyle. What do they know? Robbery. That's how I get stuff. Okay? It becomes a program in your subconscious. Addiction. It becomes a program in your subconscious. What do most people do? They go to a 12-step program. Okay? That's what I said earlier. 12. Okay? 12. How many people on a jury? 12. Why? Because it takes 12 to bring the truth to light. It's a Masonic thing. Do your homework. Go look it up. Okay? That's why there's 12 apostles, which symbolize planets, with Jesus in the middle, symbolizing the sun. So you have the Son of God and you have the Son of God. S-U-N and S-O-N, esoteric knowledge. But these are symbolic. Okay? So when you look at these things, if you are into the stories of these things, then you believe the story. Okay? Hey, aloha, Charlie. So why is subconscious discipline, let's call it, well, let's not call it discipline. Let's call it subconscious repetition, okay? But if you're doing this repetition, it's actually discipline, okay? Because you're doing it over and over and over and over, okay? Let's call it repetition. Because when you use a term like discipline, everybody goes, oh, no, I don't want to do that, right? Okay, some of these words imply pain, imply arduous work. Okay, that means it's just you gotta just kind of plow through. You gotta suffer through it. Okay, That's arduous. But that's what people understand. And human beings will shy away from things that bring pain. Okay, this is why human beings like convenience. We love convenience. Why? Because it alleviates us from pain, from struggle, okay? From doing work in itself, right? Everybody, well, no, I don't want to do the work. I want to cruise, okay? Because humans shy away from pain, suffering, okay? So you offer a human being something convenient, it's an easy sell. Think of all the best inventions, okay? It's an easy sell. Jose, good morning. Good morning, you guys. So, how difficult is it to write one sentence every day? How difficult is it to speak that sentence out loud every evening? Okay, you can speak things into existence. I know. Everybody's, what? Yeah, you can speak things into existence. I've done it. I've done it many times. I still do it. But you have to be able to see the synchronicities when you do it. Because first you speak it and then it will happen. And sometimes when it happens, it's a little delayed. So when you speak something in the morning, you don't put it together at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when you see that thing happen. Right? You don't put it together. When you're aware of the synchronicities, and that's what our vocalization exercise is for. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. It's not magic. It's just a process. It's not even a difficult process. It's not. But the vocalization will pull you out of the hypnosis. Okay? The societal hypnosis that has been inflicted, or let's say conditioned you, okay? It's been inflicted upon you. You don't even know. You're just going about your day-to-day thing, but it's what you see on TV. It's what you hear on the radio. Okay? You ever notice why radio stations play the same 20 songs over and over and over in a circle all day long? It's called rotation. You ever wonder why they do that? Because they need to make the songs popular. And it takes 2 weeks of repetition for the average human being to start liking the song. Pretty soon they buy the song. That's how sales are made. Same thing with television. Same thing with advertising. Okay, one of my companies specializes in advertising. VMAC Consultants. We've been doing advertising. So we were the first social media advertising agency in Hawaii. The very first. We were ahead of the curve. But all you have to do to see things, okay, because you don't see with your eyes, you see in the kingdom. You seek in the kingdom. Okay? When you have ears that hear, you listen in the kingdom. The kingdom within. Gautama Buddha said it. Krishna said it. Jesus Christ said it. Jesus Christ was the last one to say it in the age of Pisces. Now we're in the age of Aquarius. You ever wonder why everything is coming out now? All the truth is coming out, right? We're in the age of truth, Aquarius. All the truth from all of these things in the world are coming out, and it's shocking people. I've been telling people about this since the late 80s, early 90s. I've been telling people about all this stuff. They kind of look at me like, oh, are you okay? Are you all right? And now I'm like, well, told you so. I've been studying this stuff since I was 13 years old. My mentor, okay, my mother's youngest brother, he was my mentor, my uncle. And right before the pandemic, it was 2 years before the pandemic. And we were just having a glass of wine, and I happened to tell him, right? Yep, there you go, Charlie. Yep, media, big media does that to us all the time. And we were having a glass of wine, and my uncle had gone through a stroke, and we were having a conversation. I said, Uncle, this was 2 years before the pandemic. I said, Uncle, all this stuff that you had me study all these years since I was 13, none of this is ever going to happen. And without missing a beat, right? Just like that, my uncle goes, oh no, you watch. And I was like, yeah, right? And we went back to the wine. And guess what happened 2 years later during the pandemic? The whole world slowed down. And then people had time to think, because people don't think. Okay? People don't think. Why? Because they're on a schedule, because of the clock, because of the calendar. Okay? This is why I decided on my uncle pressured me into it, but he pressured me into business. I'm like, no, I just want to be a singer. He goes, no. He goes, you want to end up like all those guys? And I saw what happened to those guys. And they all ended up in rehab and broke and, all that stuff. They got ripped off too. Okay, it wasn't all their fault. They were used. The system just eats them up and spits them out and brings in the new one. Brings in the new guy, brings in the new group. But it's business. Okay? But he said, you want to be like that, or you want to do your own thing and whatever? And I'm like, I didn't want to do my own thing. I'm like, no. And then he got me involved in business, and then I got hooked on business. You see what the subconscious does, okay? I got hooked on wash, rinse, repeat. Then everything became business. Okay? And now I have 4 companies that I manage online. Everything is automated. Everything is digital. So I'm more like an administrator. It's manageable. And that's all I do is manage. But it keeps me away from the mouse wheel. It keeps me away from the calendar. And when things happen, I see it for what it really is. Okay? Because the veil has to lift. Okay? The veil has to lift. And if you're grounded into the system, if you're grounded into the diploma, if you're grounded into the degree, if you're grounded into the profession, if you're grounded into the corporation, if you're grounded into the calendar, okay, if you're working 3 jobs and you barely have time to sleep before you go back to work, because they do that in Hawaii. Hawaii is that expensive. Okay, they do that in Hawaii. People don't have time to think. But during the pandemic, everybody had time to think. And everybody got exposed to this, what I had been studying since I was 13 years old. And when they started studying this, they were shocked. And now what's happening? Okay, we entered the age of Aquarius a few years ago. And the truth started getting revealed and revealed and revealed. Okay? You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. But before it sets you free, it's going to make you upset. It's going to make you angry. It's going to let you down. Okay? Because if you have one of these Masonic degrees from a Masonic college that allows you to do things in the Masonic system, you're going to eventually see it for what it is. You're going to actually see what runs the world, who runs the world, and why the world is run like this. But here, there's the physical world and there's the spiritual world. The spiritual world is in here, but you participate in the physical world here. Okay? There are rules to the physical world. This is why in the Bible it says, pay unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Okay? So you're in the physical world, you have a piece of property, you pay the taxes on it. You have a car, you pay the taxes on it. even though the certificate does not mean it's necessarily sworn to. Okay, if you look in Black's Law Dictionary, it'll tell you the definition of the word certificate. Okay, so if you have a certificate by a public official, it doesn't have to be sworn to. In other words, it could be a lie. Okay, it could be BS. Okay, but these laws were written the way they were written for liability purposes. Okay, so you can't go after the people that made the laws or the people that are using the terms for what they're using them for. All right, that's the physical world. I'm probably giving you too much information. This is the spiritual world over here. This is the world in here. This is where God lives. Okay, God lives in you. God lives in me. But if you're too busy in the rat race, you know that rat race they talk about? Because it's like rats in a maze. It's like rats in a maze going round and round and here and there and bouncing off the wall. And okay? I call it the mouse wheel, you know, mouse wheel. If you're a mouse on the mouse wheel, so you get up, right? Monday morning, get up, right? You go do your 8 hours, you come home, right? Pick up the kids from school, bring them home, cook dinner, whatever. Help them with their homework, do whatever you do, and then you have a couple of hours just to relax, and then you need to go to sleep. Why? Because tomorrow you need to be back on the mouse wheel, okay? But that mouse wheel in the physical world makes you money, okay? And this is why people worship mammon. People start worshiping money. You ever see those girls, okay, they hold the credit cards like this when you give it to them, and they give it back to you like this. They're worshiping the card because the card represents money, okay? You ever see people respect somebody because they have more money, right? Because they have status. This is what it does. This is the sociological conditioning, the American dream, okay? Now we're starting to experience the American nightmare, okay? Because we're finding out that there's no concrete foundation to the American dream because it's all perception. The American dream was done years and years and years and years ago. Okay, it's floating on thin air right now, and the air is dissipating slowly. But it's not just America. It's not just the American dream. But this is the age of truth, and the truth will be revealed. Okay? But God isn't here. Okay? You don't belong to this. Okay? You only belong to this with your name all in capital letters. Okay? Look it up. Okay? That's all. That's all that belongs to this. You belong to God. God lives in here. You have more power than that. Okay? But it's subconscious. Ask, believe, receive. The important part of that process is the belief part. You need to get it in your subconscious. How do you do it? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. If you aim that at any one thing, I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is, okay? Because God is bigger than the physical world. Your power in here is bigger than the physical world. But you don't see it. Because when you look in the mirror, you see your body. You're not your body. You're not your name. You're operating your body from in here. Okay? This is a spirit. One day your body will just release you and let you go. Why? Because it cannot hang on to you any longer. It will get too old. One day I won't be able to play my guitar or hold my pen. These things will get too old. But in here, I am eternal. In here, you are eternal. And your energy, okay, Einstein showed us how energy cannot be eliminated. It can only transmute. Transmute means change form. And your energy will go. your spirit will go. Where is it going to go? We don't have the answer for that. But I'm sure with all this truth coming out in the age of Aquarius, we're going to find out. And it will be comforting because you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. So right now, a lot of people are being set free. Okay? A lot of people are being set free. Entire countries are being set free. Entire systems are being opened. Do you have to worry about this? No. Why? Because if you lose this one, if you lose these, if you lose the body, okay, don't worry. The only thing people are going to miss are the things that they have. That's the hard part, right? Letting go of the things we love and the people we love. Those are the only two things you should focus on. Don't focus on lack or what you don't have. Focus on what you do have. Focus on what is, not what might come. Oh, this might come. Oh, that might come. Oh, I don't want that to happen. Oh, I don't want this to happen. Oh, I don't want that to happen. Don't do that. Expect only good things. Focus on the things you love, people you love, right? Oh, one day I'm going to get that car. One day I'm going to get that house. One day I'm going to get this, right? Whatever. Bicycle, whatever it is, doesn't matter. And it doesn't have to be an inanimate object. It could be your job. It could be your love. One day I'm going to get that dream girl. One day I'm going to get that husband. One day I'm going to, right? Okay? But the first thing I do when I speak to people is I clue them into the realities of this world. Okay? There's good and bad in the world. There's good and evil. If you want to put it that way, that's pretty extreme. Okay? If you look for the evil part, you will find it. If you seek evil, okay? And you seek evil by focusing on what you don't want. Because why? Well, it's not good for you, right? You don't want it. But you will attract it through your subconscious. Your subconscious will form avenues once you believe something to help you achieve it. Okay? What the mind of man can conceive and believe, he can achieve. Because God lives in here, because God lives in you. Okay? I'm not perfect. I don't consider myself a good guy. I might, you know? But you have to know you have this power. Because these systems of things, the medical industrial complex, you know, the military industrial complex, all of these industrial complexes, and they are because we live in commerce, we live in capitalism. All of these industrial complexes put you through, you know, the merry-go-round. You go through the merry-go-round. You go through the mouse wheel. When you stop focusing on the physical world and you start focusing on the spiritual world, life changes. Everything changes. Okay? And Jay is giving me the signal. You're very welcome. California, Kid the Valley, you're very welcome. Very welcome. Okay? So, if you're spiritual, okay, if you go to church, okay, you're religious, spiritual, same, okay? If you believe in a power higher than yourself, okay, you're spiritual. If you've been distracted by the stories, if you believe in the stories, then you need to go look at the esoteric knowledge, okay? That's not a bad thing. Okay, just go and look. Study. Because you have more power. If you put my name in any browser, any AI, put teaching method next to it. Put my companies next to it. Put companies next to it. You know, do research on me. Every single thing that you will see is stuff that I was fantasizing about when I was 12 years old. And now I put myself in AI or browsers or Google or whatever, and I look and I go, yeah, that damn 12-year-old self of mine was thinking about had all these fantasies, and now everything is there. Am I happy about that? It doesn't feel like an accomplishment to me. It doesn't, because I live every day, day to day, to day to day, to day to day to day. Okay? But you can do it too. You can do anything and everything that you've dreamed of. You just need to have the guts enough to stick to your dreams. Okay? Life is short. Live your dreams. Okay, we're gonna break from. Yep. Thank you for joining us, you guys. Thank you, Manuel. Thank you. We want to say thank you and aloha and love from Hawaii to our Streamlabs family. You know who you are. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. We're on seven platforms every morning here from Honolulu, Hawaii.